Welcome to Maximizing Missions. I'm your host, Carl Richard. Thank you so much for watching today. You know, I believe that missions is the heartbeat of God. Maximizing Missions is a platform that missionaries, ministers, and others can use to share their mission, their ministries, and their stories through a podcast conversation. I'm honored to share this time with you. Missiologist Christopher Wright explains missions this way. He says it's not so much that God has a mission for his church in the world, but that God has a church for his mission in the world. And today I want to introduce to you Heart and Home Ministries. This ministry helps improve the lives of children in many intentional and relational ways. They offer mentorship, feeding programs, educational partnerships, and others are some of the ways that Heart and Home serves their children. Our guest today has proved that even as a single mom, through trials and life-changing circumstances, that God can and will use people who desire his will. God has used the life experiences of my guest to become a platform for mission and empowering women to become entrepreneurs. I would like to introduce you today to Miss Heidi Dollar, President of Heart and Home Ministries. Miss Heidi, welcome today, and thank you so much for dropping by the studio and joining me on today's podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, tell me about Heart and Home Ministry. Tell me about the different arms of the ministry. What do you guys do at Heart and Home?
Well, locally, we facilitate a mentoring program with Advantage Academy Charter School. We provide caring adult mentors with at-risk students. If they're from single-parent homes, lots of students, we have their parents, maybe one or the other parent is in jail. So we just provide a caring mentor that they can develop a relationship with that just becomes a friend. We don't offer counseling or any of those kind of things. We just have mentors that go to the school 2 times per month for 45 minutes each time, and they just spend time with the children, just getting to know them, playing games, having lunch.
Wow, that what an awesome opportunity and ministry, really, for some of these kids and some of the mentors. How do you go about getting mentors involved with the students?
We try to recruit mentors from local churches. We have a desire to go into businesses, Christian-owned businesses, and see if we can develop a partnership with them to provide mentors for students in the community where our schools are, which is Grand Prairie, Duncanville, and Waxahachie. So that's our dream to do that. So
there's some other things that you guys are involved with not just local or stateside functions or organizations, but what are some things that you do in some other countries around the world?
Well, Heart and Home didn't become an international nonprofit until 2015. I took a trip to Albania, and the Lord just dropped a passion in me like nothing I had ever experienced before. I met children who were part of a Roma community in the capital city of Tirana, Albania, and I felt like that God created me to be friends with those children. So we partnered with a local church there. We did a feeding program. We fed kids 5 days a week. We connected them with Advantage Academy School. We took a team of teachers and we took resources. The Roma community, those children are not in school. They're the street children of the country, and they are considered worthless. And they are the greatest risk for being abducted by traffickers. They live in accommodations that it's horrifying to see. They're outside, mostly the babies are begging on the street. 2 and 3-year-olds are out begging. They've got an older sibling standing nearby somewhere watching them, but they're begging. And then if they don't bring home something, their parents often make them sleep outside. So it was just a heartbreaking thing, and I just felt like the Lord said, I wanted to be part of doing something to help change their lives, make their lives better. So.
And you certainly are. How many years have you or the ministry been involved in Albania?
We were there for 4 years. So wow. I took about 3 trips a year to Albania. So it was the passion, the children, and the thing that I think spoke volumes to the families that we ministered to was we kept coming back. And I take teams on short-term trips, and I always had repeat team members. I mean, I honestly didn't have the option to open it up to new people because the same people wanted to go back. And we developed a relationship with children in the group, and And with their parents. Their mothers would say, "I know you love us because you come back."
Wow.
So
Wow.
it was amazing.
And I know that you the ministry really has expanded from Albania to Honduras.
Yes.
So tell me what you guys are doing in that country.
We are partnering with Kids Ark International Youth Camp that is outside of Pena Blanca, Honduras. It's an amazing ministry. The camp director, Randy Herring, brings children in from all over Honduras and provides them a day at camp. And as he's explained to us and we've seen, it's like the Honduran version of Disneyland. The kids go, they get to come and have a break from their lives because the majority of Hondurans live in extreme poverty. And the children come, they learn about Christ, they go through stations where they hear Bible stories, and if you can see the camp, he's a Mason, and he's done an incredible job recreating Bible stories. They just come to life. And these children have the opportunity to just have a day of fun and experience being loved by outsiders and just hearing the Word of God.
So loving kids, mentoring kids, help to educate kids is all part of sort of the mission of Heart and Home.
Yes.
So detail for me what other things you guys do.
Well, one of the exciting things, this is our first year, and it was my dream to do in Albania, and the distance kind of made it, it's expensive to keep going. And but I've always had a heart to help women succeed, especially single moms. I was a single mom for 10 years. I was privileged to live in the United States. I was privileged that I got to keep my home when I went through a difficult situation. That's not the case for so many women here in the States, but also in other countries. It's even more extreme. And this year we had the opportunity to help a single mom. Her name is Novia. We actually got to help her start her own business. She has opened a florist and a gift shop, and we were able to provide funding for her rent for 1 year and provide the tools that she needed to get started, and she's done an unbelievable job, even amidst COVID. It's been incredible that she still is able to work a little bit here every day. So.
Wow. So not only does Heart and Home have a passion to work with children and mentor children, but also to help women, maybe single moms in some third world countries. Oftentimes, all the financial burden of the family rests upon her. So to provide mentorship in to become entrepreneurs in whatever skill set they have, I think that's it's fascinating to me that the Lord would lay that on your heart and create opportunity for you to sort of fulfill that dream and that desire. So, with all due respect, you're not only a mom, but you're a grandma, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So talk to me about how does somebody go from mom to mission? How does that happen?
Well, before I went to Albania in 2015, I was feeling a little down because I thought, I don't have a skill. I'm not a doctor. I can't go and provide medical care. I can't. I'm not a teacher. I can't build anything. We can go on a mission trip and build a church, or you can go build a Bible school, or you can go and minister to people through your medical training. I didn't have anything like that, and I felt like the Lord just dropped into my spirit, you can love people. And when I felt that, I just thought, Lord, I'm going to love people the best I can. I'm going to do my best and to make everyone that I come in contact with feel loved. And that is actually it was the starting point that's just kind of blown up, literally, for opportunities to just go and develop relationships with people. We don't go on a trip one time and then never go back. Our heart is to build relationships and to stay connected with the ministries that we partner with. And it makes a huge difference in people's lives when you go and you just share the love of Christ. I think it's kind of cliche sometimes. I've heard Jesus with skin on or the hands and feet of Jesus, but we have to literally be that. And there is no greater joy than to know that God has used you to show his love to somebody.
I was privileged and really blessed to go with you and your team on a trip to Honduras, where we visited an orphanage, and you really were impressed, really by the Lord to sort of redo do some painting and bring some furniture and so tell me about that experience and how all that worked for you.
The really cool thing, my background is interior design and decorating, and that doesn't really translate either to missions. But we had the opportunity to connect with the local feeding center, and it was so drab when you went in. It was stark white walls. It's very institutional, and they had these children there with not many toys, and it was heartbreaking. The pictures that I saw before I even went, I was just so sad. And I love to make things pretty. So we were able to work with Randy Herring of Kids Ark. He connected us, and we painted the facility. We hung artwork on the walls. We had people donate toys. We were able to take toys. We just made it happy. And the atmosphere that you live in, the atmosphere that you create, I think that also brings a sense of well-being, and that is another way that we can show love and help those children find a sense of peace. A little bit of, sharing a little bit of those kind of things.
What's the best thing out of your mission experiences that you get to do?
Oh my goodness. That would be hard to be narrow to the one thing. The children, just getting to know the children, I think. And there have been times when we have been privileged to share food packets with families, these children that are hungry, and we work through the local organization there and provide food. And there have been times when we showed up with food when the family had nothing left in their house. And they did not know when they were going to be able to get their next meal because their next paycheck wasn't coming for a week. So when you know that God has used you to share that and to bless someone like that, it's the most humbling thing, but it's also the most exhilarating thing. I cannot think of anything that is more exciting or that gives me more of a thrill to be part of.
One of the things that is so fascinating to me that you've experienced some difficulty in your life as a single mom and some other challenges, and yet you never allowed that to box you in. You allowed those experiences to really be a platform. And so talk to me about if someone is watching us or listening to us today and they're at a stage of their life where they feel like God can't use me right now, and that's certainly a reality. You feel like I've got kids, I've got all this situation, I've got to work 40 hours a week, I'm involved in these extracurricular activities, and I just can't make room. And yet I feel like I want to do something. How can someone involve themselves in Heart and Home Ministries, so to speak, and help you?
They could be a volunteer mentor. That would be a great thing. You can pray for us. That is so critical, the prayer support that we need. You could join us on a trip. I love taking people on trips. I'm privileged that my husband doesn't mind me traveling so much and being gone. But anything like that. And God can use you no matter where you are. Sometimes you have to work through your circumstances, whatever circumstances you're in, but you'll come out on the other side, and God can still use you. I think about the list of all the people in the Bible, Mary Magdalene and Ruth and all the people throughout history that weren't perfect people, that had terrible things happen to them. Their life was destroyed, but God eventually brought redemption and restoration. And He can still use them. He uses us when we're broken. That's the thing. I think He can use us more when we're broken than when we've got it all together.
Absolutely. He's a redemptive God,
yes,
right?
Yes,
he redeems
is.
those things. Hey, describe for me the first time that you knew that God was dealing with you about being involved in missions.
Well, I was probably about 7 years old, and and there was a missionary from Africa that came to our church. And growing up, I honestly felt like I was going to be a missionary to Africa. That was my heart. I did make a trip to Africa. It wasn't till 2012 that I actually got to go. But I just have always had a heart. And then life happened. You get married and children, and then obviously I went through divorce, and life is interrupted. Your plans that you had sometimes are interrupted, but I see how God has used everything that we went through, because I'm today married for 8 years to my wonderful husband, and we do missions together. And we've talked many times that we feel like the Lord redeemed both of our stories and brought us together so that we could do what we're doing now. Because neither one of us would do it alone. I wouldn't be able to go on the trips, and he wouldn't go. He's a quiet, kind of laid back guy. He wouldn't. I kind of pull him along.
So you balance each other,
We
right?
balance each other, yes. So, but we know that God had a purpose. He knew 20 years ago, he knew what we were both going to go through, and he has brought it to this most beautiful thing that I am so grateful for every day.
What a fascinating, amazing story. Tell me about Heart and Home, and how did it get started, and how did you become involved in the ministry of Heart and Home?
My parents started Heart and Home in 1989. It was a ministry, women's ministry, kind of originally
I think
started
this
out.
is your dad, right?
That's my dad.
Okay. Hey,
Yes,
Dad.
that's Jerry, my dad. Yes, that's his mentee, Sebastian. He is one of our best mentors. He's 82 this month, and he is just he takes him fishing. He does all kind of things with him. He invests in him, and it's really wonderful to see. And that's my mom. Her heart was to start Heart and Home, and the Lord has used her. She's done women's conferences, done women's ministry. This is Sarah. That was her young girl that she mentored, and it's just blossomed. I often think that God knew in 1989 what we were going to be doing today, and He created Heart and Home just so that we had a platform where we could share and do what we're doing locally and internationally.
We have some other pictures, I believe. Tell me about some of these pictures that we saw.
This is in Albania, and this was we were at a small group, and we met outside at one of the churches, and this lady brought her sheep through our small group, so I had to get a picture. But those are children in the project that we worked in. We're leaving, and they're waving and waving goodbye. We're one of the days that we had camp. They are the most beautiful children. That's in Honduras, some of the children that we were able to visit, and we took food to their families. That's another in Albania. We hosted a day camp, and that Bella in the Heart and Home shirt, the young girl right there, she's our youngest team member. She turned 10 years old on this trip, and this is her grandmother, my sister-in-law Jan. And this is the children in one of the projects that we worked for and held day camps. So, that's me. That little girl, her name is Denisa, and she is saying, God gives us good lessons. I love God. That's what she wrote on her.
Nothing like those trips, is there?
Oh my word!
Yeah,
there's nothing like it.
What are some of your goals for Heart and Home in the future?
Well, the Lord has given us an opportunity for me and a couple of my team members to participate in some training in ministering to the needs of women and children who've been rescued from sex trafficking. And it's just over the last few months that opportunity has arisen, and we're excited. If you've seen, obviously in June, the State Department released their report, the 2020 Human Trafficking Persons Report, and it seems like since then social media has blown up with statistics and organizations and just awareness of sex trafficking. And we have the opportunity to receive training from an organization that has initiatives where they have safe houses, they have aftercare homes, they provide places for women who are trafficked. They provide safe places at night for their children. And we just feel like the Lord's opening that door for us. We believe training is so important because that's not a ministry that you can just go and just start. You need to know how to deal with the emotional issues, the social issues, all the just the hurt and the brokenness of women who've been rescued. And I'm excited. It's new and it's a little scary, but I feel like the Lord is opening doors. He's connecting us with people. It's unbelievable. It's blowing my mind because I think, Lord, are you sure this is where you're leading us? Because it's not anything that we had set out to do originally. Right. This year with COVID has been a year of change. And I feel like the Lord has kind of defined our our vision and our goal for our ministry. And I feel like he clearly spoke to me that I'm supposed to stand up with new courage, speak up with new boldness, and lift up with a new fearlessness those that we encounter. And I'm believing that he's just going to show us exactly where we need to go and when we need to be there.
So you mentioned a safe house. Tell me about what that is, what that looks like.
Those are homes that women who've been rescued, and a lot of times rescued, from what I'm learning, they're not necessarily, it's not this dangerous rescue that you see. Sometimes brothel owners or madams will just release people. They get a little older, they maybe have health problems. Well, when they're released, they have nowhere to go. They already live a life of such a dark life, and then when they're released, at least somebody was probably feeding them and they had a roof over their heads. When they're released, they have nowhere to go. And the organizations that we're going to hopefully partner with, they provide safe homes. They provide care for children, and mothers. There are mothers who give their children to them, actually. When mothers are with clients, the children are under the bed. I mean, that's the reality of their life. And so a safe house is just a place that they can heal, get medical care. They can learn a skill. We heard a story from a local church in North Little Rock. Because of COVID, 300 women in India were released by the brothels and the madams because the customers were not there, and so they couldn't afford to feed these people and with no income, and they let them all go. So they were scrambling to take in 300 women and their children and find a place for them. And they've done remarkable things. They are going to get vocational training, and their children are going to be able to go to school. It's an incredible thing.
Yeah. It's not just an issue or a problem in India or in Moldova. There's issues right here in the United States of America. Is that right?
The United States is like the number one place for sex trafficking. The state of Texas is in the top 10. Wow. So it's scary. There are, I write about 4.9 million people who are trafficked every year. 1 million of those are children.
My goodness.
According to statistics.
Wow. So what has God put in your heart with what you can see and know right now? What has God put in your heart to do to help here?
Well, my dream would be to have a safe house.
Okay, there you go.
And that's, I don't know the logistics of it, everything, but I'm going to learn. I'm going to find out, and I'm going to learn because I would like to be a part of helping someone's story be redeemed. I would like the Lord to use me to minister to someone and show them that their life is not over. They still have so much they can do. They're loved, not only by the Lord, but by us as well.
I think that's phenomenal because I'm a firm believer that if you can see it, and seeing it meaning usually God will drop it in your heart, your spirit, your mind. So you may not see it with your natural eye, but you can see it on the inside of you. If you can see it, God usually provides and you can have it. So keep dreaming.
I will.
For sure.
That's never been a problem for me.
Yeah. We're going to have your information on the screen and in our podcast notes. And folks can certainly get on your website, and there's information there on your website. And as this thing further develops, I'd love for you to come back and talk with me about the safe house and all that God's doing really in Heart and Home Ministry. And so thank you so much for coming by today and dropping by the studio and visiting with me. And just so appreciate your heart and all that God's doing, has done, and is doing, and will continue to do. So thank you for serving. And I believe that there'll be other ladies that have been mom and grandma and yet feel like, man, I can do missions. I can get involved in some area of missions and serve the Lord in that capacity. And so thank you for your heart and sharing your story and your life with us. And thank you today for tuning in to another edition of Maximizing Missions. If you would like to support Heart and Home Ministries with prayer, financial support, or as a volunteer, you can find their contact information in the show notes wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast. Thank you today for joining us on another edition of Maximizing Missions. We will see you again real soon.